Hello class, my name is Thomas Mister and I am doing a presentation on Ophiocordyceps unilateraliss, also referred to as the zombie fungi. So for this presentation we have four main objectives. The first is to identify what a Ophiocordyceps unilateraliss is. The second objective is to talk about how it works when it affects the host. The third is to talk about how it actually affects the insect's body. Fourth, we will discuss if there is any positive impacts of this fungi. And last, we will talk about if there's any possible medical benefits of this fungi. So the first thing that you probably noticed was the picture on the bottom right corner of the screen of an ant growing fungi out of all over its body. So what you're seeing growing out of the body is the Ophiocordyceps unilateraliss. So Ophiocordyceps unilateraliss is a type of pathogenic fungi in the Ophiocordyceps family within the Ophiocordyceps genus. These fungi are known for infecting specific insects and eating them from the inside out. So don't worry, these have only been known to infect insects, so we should all be safe unless something mutates. So the whole process of this fungi is divided into four sections. The first is the infection, which we're going to talk about right now. The second is called the death grip, which I'll explain in a bit. The third is the fungal growth, and the last one is called the killing zone. So as other fungi spread through the release of spores, this Ophiocordyceps is no different. The contraction of this fungi is as easy as a spore falling on an ant's body or an ant stepping on it while it's walking. The Ophiocordyceps begins to break through the ant's exoskeleton by excreting a certain kind of enzyme that will eat through the exterior shell to then germinate and then form a mycelium that will spread a network of roots through the ant's muscles, slowly taking over the body. And this is where it actually gets its name as the zombie fungi. All right, so now we're going to talk about step 2, which is called the death grip. So after 2 days, the Ophiocordyceps should have spread enough through the ant to begin to alter the chemicals that will make the ant want to leave its colony and then climb to an underside of a leaf where optimal fungal growth can occur. Somewhere that's going to have the perfect amount of sunlight, the right temperature, and the right amount of humidity. And you're going to see why it wants to get to an underside of a leaf later on in the presentation. So once a spot is found, the ant will perform what is called a death grip, which is when the ant uses its mandibles, its teeth, to bite onto the middle of a vein of a leaf to hold its position until the fungi kills it. And as you can see in the top right corner, here's an ant performing the death grip, which looks like he did it on a twig instead. And here is the fungi growing out of the back of its neck. The third step is fungal growth. The Ophiocordyceps will now continue growing its hyphae inside the ant as it eats the internal organs and fortifies itself inside the ant's exoskeleton. When the Ophiocordyceps is ready to reproduce, its main stem will now begin to grow and it'll usually grow out of the back of the neck of the ant because that is the easiest place to break out of. As you can see on the pictures on the right, there are examples of them growing in the back of the neck out of it, and one example of it growing out on the bottom of its torso on the top right picture. All right, so now we're on to the final step, which is called the killing zone. So the killing zone is an area under which the fungal spores are released to latch on to ants, trees, plants, and just about anything else that it can come into contact with. These spores can actually survive for months by itself on whichever surface it lands on. These spores lay dormant, waiting for an ant to walk over it and pick it up, so this whole process can repeat again. Something that I found really interesting when I was doing research on the ants and the Ophiocordyceps unilateraliss is that these ants have actually evolved over the years to be able to sense which ant has been affected. So once one of the ants senses another ant has been affected, they will actually pick up that ant and take him far away from their colony. So when the spores hatch, it won't affect their whole colony. Because these spores have the capability to wipe out all the ants if it continues to spread on them. Though this parasitic fungi looks scary and unsettling, it does have a purpose in the surrounding ecosystem. These parasites stop species of insects that begin to grow too large in numbers and begin to get the upper hand on other species. It seems that the larger a species gets, the higher chance a cordyceps will begin infecting the species. Though I've only talked about the Ophiocordyceps unilateraliss and how it affects ants, there are many different types of Ophiocordyceps that affect many different species of insects. For example, these 4 images on the slide. So the bottom right image looks like it has affected some kind of spider. The next image, I believe that is a fly. The next image, it looks as if it's began to affect some kind of grasshopper. And the final one looks like it's affected a wasp. So now we're going to get on to possible medical properties. The little research has been conducted on medical benefits of Ophiocordyceps unilateraliss, but what has been conducted has shown promise for new drugs in anti-tumor medication, hypoglycemic medication, and hypocholesterolemic function medication. And research is still currently going on for this specific type of parasitic fungi to see what else it can help us with. All right, and that's my presentation. I hope everyone who listened and watched aren't as freaked out as I was when I first started looking into this. It was a really interesting topic, and I would love to do another report on this sometime in the future.